we're literally going to take over Washington, D.C. that week. We're going to do the weigh-ins there. We're going to have fan events.
You know, what I want to do is build, you know, the best card that we've ever built that just make people go crazy. This isn't about the crowd for me. It's about being at the White House.
The White House makes a lot of sense for him to come back, and obviously I would love to fight on that card for a multitude of reasons.
Dana White has confirmed that a historic card is being planned for America's 250th anniversary in 2026, a one-of-a-kind spectacle that could bring the fight game to the heart of Washington, D.C. This isn't a rumor anymore, it's a blueprint in motion. While sharing the blueprint of the event, Dana White helped people visualize his idea, instilling excitement in the heart of all the UFC fans. According to Dana, the lawn of the White House would accommodate fewer than 5,000 people, so it would be exclusive for a small number of fans only, while others watch remotely.
It's going to be under 5,000 people. You know, it depends on how much the lawn can hold. You know, as far as weight, the octagon itself weighs 15,000 pounds. So we don't know. We're still working it out. And my vision for this thing is we have this big arch, as you can see, with the lighting grid, because what I want is the White House in the back. And then when you shoot, when the fight goes around to the other side, you'll see the Washington Monument. So, you know, at first he put Ivanka in charge of handling this thing and putting it together. And when we sent the plans over to Ivanka, she said, "Dana, you do not mess around."
Moreover, Dana even revealed the fact that Jon Jones expressed interest in being added to the card for this event after having been retired and rejoining the UFC world. However, Dana claimed that he wants fighters who are serious about their fights and gave the example of Conor McGregor, who has proven himself to be a reliable fighter and ultimately be chosen as the one of fighters who would be in the octagon for America's 250th anniversary.
Jon Jones, since, you know, retiring and then coming back, has made it clear I want to do this, and you know, he sent me a text apologizing and all that stuff, but I need people that I can seriously rely on for this one. You know, and people talk shit about Conor. I'm telling you, I've been in the fucking trenches with Conor. Conor is a guy that has fought injured. Conor is a guy that a fighter has fallen out and we slid in a stylistically bad matchup for him. He doesn't care. He literally will fight anybody.
But does he care enough to actually make a fight right now? Like, is he actually, when's the last time he fought? It's been,
he and I have been talking nonstop, and he's like, I'm dead serious. I want this. You know, I'm training. I'm back in the pool. I'm doing all the shit.
Further expressing his appreciation for Conor, Dana White stated that the fighter is someone who can be relied on for every step leading into the match. When all the marketing of the fights has been completed and the stadium is filled with a roaring audience, Conor is the type of fighter who would not back out and stand firm in his commitment to the matchup, making himself the best business partner.
I like people that I can count on, that when we're in the fucking, you know, you're a couple weeks out and all the money's been spent and all the marketing has been done. Who's gonna stay in there, and who's gonna stay in the fucking foxhole with me and fight this thing? And Conor McGregor has always been that guy, you know. And people like your brother, oh, he's owned. His daddy Dana won't let him fucking fight and all that fucking bullshit. You know. But Conor's been a solid dude. He's been a good fucking business partner. Is the way that I would put it. Talking
about the potential fighters that would be on the card for this massive event, Khamzat Chimaev, a rising legend in the UFC, also dropped some cryptic tweets hinting at his involvement with the White House card. With nothing but an AI-generated picture, Khamzat posted an image of himself in the White House, with his gloves raised, ready to take on a fight. On the other hand, while discussing the fact that Jon Jones is not at the top of the list of the fighters that Dana wants to see in the White House octagon, the promoter claimed that aside from Conor McGregor, other talented fighters such as Ronda Rousey and Chuck Liddell would definitely be considered for the card, and considering the unique styles and fighting skills, Dana stated that the fighters who bring art to their craft would be given priority for the event.
And Conor McGregor has always been that guy.
So you said Jon's not at the top of your list for that one. You know, maybe don't rule it out, but who is? Can you give us a little bit of?
I just said Conor McGregor.
Conor. So that's
Conor
the main
McGregor
event you want.
has always been that guy. Ronda Rousey too.
Yeah.
Chuck Liddell has always been that. there's a laundry list of people that and a lot of these people that are super talented are almost like dealing with artists. You know, they have their quirky little things, and
everybody's different in this game, and fighters are always personality completely different. They're going to show up at this point.
On the other hand, commenting on Dana White's insistence to keep Jon Jones away from the fight card for the White House event, Daniel Cormier showed disagreement to this decision. According to Daniel, the purpose of UFC is that it is a global sport that allows great fighters to put their skills to use. So from Daniel's perspective, if the fighter wants to be added to the card, he should be allowed to fight. Daniel stated, "If I'm being completely honest, I don't know that I agree. I think I would let Jones fight. I think if he wants to fight, I would let him fight because mixed martial arts is a global sport and it's a sport that everybody loves." He continued by saying, "We support people from all around the world, and at the end of the day, when we are fighting at the White House, you want American people that can win." However, according to Ariel Helwani, there might be a slight possibility of Jon Jones being able to enter the event as a fighter. This could be due to multiple reasons, including the event needing Jon Jones as a potential fighter, or perhaps Donald Trump wanting Jon Jones to be involved in the event. But Ariel did point out that Dana's one to hold grudges, and the way Jon backed away from his last fight, the grudge could be deeper than we think.
Here's the thing though, they may need him. Donald Trump may ask for him. Like, there's other factors involved here, no doubt about it. I also know from Dana White, he can hold a grudge. And when he says that he feels a certain way, he tends to stick to that. And so this is all very telling. But if you're wondering why he's apologizing, it's for that reason. He said he was in, and then he said he was out. And I think Dana White doesn't like to come out in front of the media and say this is 100% happening and then look like he was a liar, because I think he believed that if we got him the money, he was going to do it.
Even Chael Sonnen added his own 2 cents about this discussion, showing his disagreement over keeping Conor McGregor as the fighter who would headline the White House card. According to Chael, while it is true that Conor is a huge star in the UFC world, why is he the only one being turned for this opportunity? With no fighter decided to go against Conor, the fact that he would be headlined poses a lot of different questions.
The story that Conor McGregor is being talked to headline the White House card, I don't buy it. I can't buy it. Why are we would be turning to Conor McGregor? And the answer is also out there, because he is the sport's biggest star. That is true. So is that what you need? If you've got the open checkbook and you've got the magic wand, without saying names, do you say, I'm going to put as my main event the sport's biggest star? Is that your answer? Doesn't matter who he's fighting. What if it's a championship match? You have an open checkbook and you have a magic wand and you don't use any names, but you're going to put the championship on. Would you say heavyweight? Would you say women's 135? Would you say wherever Kazmat Chimaev's at?
Moreover, John McCarty and Josh Thompson gave their views on what card could make the event even more spectacular than it already is. According to them, Kayla Harrison versus Amanda Nunes should be the main event, after which Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler would make sense. Followed by that, Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall could be considered the middle fight, followed by Islam versus Ilia Topuria.
If you're saying you're going to put the best fight on for the White House,
okay,
I'm going to just, as right now, because she's only the only American champion, is I'm going Kayla Harrison and Amanda Nunes as the main event.
Boom.
Which is not fair, which is fair to me, but I know some people will be like, well, you're fucking retarded, dude, because these guys are bigger names, this and that. Okay. But in reality, I would go Kayla Harrison, 2-time Olympic gold medalist. Okay. And the UFC champ, multiple time PFL champ. Like, I'm going Kayla Harrison, Amanda Nunes as the main event.
okay.
Then I'm going Conor McGregor and whoever. I would say it would probably end up being Chandler, since they already spent all this money.
Oh, God, no.
John, I'm just bear
Go
with
ahead.
me, buddy.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay, but it's probably going to be Chandler if they fight. Just that's where I'm at on that. Jon Jones and Tom Aspinall, that being the middle fight, that being like not being above Conor because he's not a bigger name than Conor. And then I'd put Islam and Ilia Topuria.
That's a good one.
That's my card. If you gave me full reign to say, hey, what fight would you put at the White House? It would be that card.
Talking about Conor McGregor going into the fight against Michael Chandler, the latter made it clear that he would be honored to have the White House fight to his name, especially if it's against Conor, since the two have had some unfinished business for a while now. According to Chandler, his record has been clean and he has never pulled out of a fight before, making him a perfect contender for the event.
I think obviously that's a fight that I want. I want the White House. First and foremost, I want the White House. Ideally, if it becomes Conor, that would be awesome. Obviously we have some animosity or some unfinished business. Once again, I just said there's not really animosity. I got respect for him. He's got respect for me, but we do have an unfinished business. And he has, expressed interest. When he put out that meme of me and him, I guess you could call it a meme, it was AI, it was me and him. He's called me out on Twitter and said we have unfinished business, and we have unfinished business. We would be the only fighters not to fight after the Ultimate Fighter who were in the same weight class. And Conor and I, it makes sense. I did my job. I signed on the dotted line. I've still never pulled out of a fight, never missed weight.
Adding to that, Michael pointed out the fact that when you're putting up an event of this magnitude, where there's a lot at stake, it doesn't matter what kind of fights are being fought. What matters is whether the fighters are reliable enough to turn up to the fight with the world watching. According to Chandler, he is a reliable fighter who can be trusted enough to show up to his commitments no matter what.
The most important thing about this White House card, and whether I am a shoe-in for it or not, when you're building a card of this magnitude, it's not necessarily even about putting on the best fight. It's about putting on the best fights that are the most reliable. Which fighters and which matchups, which marquee contests are going to happen on the White House lawn that have an almost virtual certainty of actually happening. In this crazy sport, there are no guarantees, but I'm about as sure as a guarantee as you possibly could be. Like I said, never missed weight, never pull out of a fight. And if I can walk to the octagon, if I can physically make it to the octagon, I'm showing up that cage, that octagon door is closing, and I'm putting on a show for the fans.
Moreover, Michael Chandler also added the fact that if there was any fight that would cause the comeback of Conor McGregor, it would be the White House card considering the magnitude of this event. According to Michael, every fighter dreams about a fight that not only benefits them financially, but also allows them to boost their fame and legacy to the max, and this event would do all of that.
About us fighters in general, you want when you get into the sport, you want the biggest fights, the brightest lights, the most amount of money, the most eyeballs you possibly can, and Conor has been no exception to that, or Conor has done that his entire career, and all of the pay-per-view records and the biggest spectacles that you possibly could be on. That's exactly what Conor McGregor's brand is, and that's exactly what myself and every single fighter wants. So yeah, when this White House fight card got announced, obviously Conor tweeted about it or threw something out there about it, and it seemed like a lot of, sometimes smoke and mirrors, a little bit of blunder here and there. But ultimately, if there ever was a card that Conor McGregor comes back for, it makes a lot of sense that it would be this one.
In contrast, Eric Jackman from The Boys in the Back claimed that while Michael Chandler deserves the fight against Conor McGregor, there's a much better fight waiting to happen that would make the fans go wild, and that would be Nate Diaz versus Conor McGregor. The animosity and history between these two fighters goes far beyond that of Chandler and McGregor, making it an excellent matchup.
I think Michael Chandler should get this opportunity. But if you're asking me like what fight I'd want to see, if you're asking me what fight I think could still be made right now, right? Nate Diaz is a free agent. You could get Nate Diaz. It's not going to be a difficult conversation if you make the money right and treat him respectfully.
I mean, Conor McGregor on the White House card, the money would be right.
The money would have to be right. To me, Nate Diaz versus Conor would be the perfect fight. Like, you have so much history there. You're talking about rolling back like Chandler and McGregor's highlights. You've got highlights of these two guys from two fights. You've got real like animosity and history. I think they actually kind of like each other, if I'm being honest. Yeah. I think Conor kind of respects him.
So much history,
but there's so much there. Once the tensions start getting high, those two will bring it.
So
you get the ancillary characters. You get, is that a Nick Diaz appearance? Like, it would really set it off, and I think that would be massive.
Furthermore, adding to the excitement of the event, Dana White claimed that this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity not just for him and his team, but also for the sport of martial arts to leave a mark in American history. Dana shared that the fighters would be entering the octagon by walking out of the Oval Office, which would be a never-before-seen sight. In the end, according to Dana, it is all about the history that is going to be made in the grounds of the White House.
Yeah. This isn't about the gate the people, the energy. This is about the fighters are going to walk out of the Oval Office. Yeah. When they walk, they're walking from the Oval Office. Yeah,
bro. For just American history, like this will be looked back on forever.
And if anybody, if the fighters, the cornermen, my production people, my PR people, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity that will never happen again.
According to the explanations of how exactly the octagon would be set up on the White House lawn, Dana White helped people visualize the arch that would be made above the octagon, and how the lights would be set up around it, with the infamous White House in the background of it all. Adding to that, Dana claimed the park connected to the White House would host 85,000 people, where extra activities like concerts and UFC X would take place.
This is goofy, but this is the octagon, right? We're building this arch, almost like the St. Louis arch, like this, and the lighting grid will go above the octagon. So when we shoot this fight, right, this whole backdrop will be the White House. And then when the cameras move over and the fight's this way, it's all the Washington Monument, the monument on this side. Then there's a park that's sort of connected to the White House, and we'll have 85,000 people
on a big
there with big screens, and we're gonna do concerts. We're gonna do UFC X there. We're gonna take over DC the whole week.
Wow.
As the excitement of the event rises to the max, people can't help but wonder which fighters the card would contain, and how exactly the event would progress. Going down in American history as one of the first UFC events on the grounds of the White House, we are witnessing a legendary experience unfold. What do you think? Should Dana White let go of his grudge against Jon Jones and let the fighter in as one of the contenders of the event? Or is he right about not taking the risk of bringing in a fighter with a history of backing off prior to this fight? Let us know in the comments section down below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon to stay updated on the latest news. See you soon!